Hey there, Jamie Cunningham with SalesUp TV, talking about the exciting topic of numbers. Well, more specifically, talking about profit. We did a video a while back called Creating a Profit First Budget, which sort of feeds off this one, but really what we're looking at here is profit models. Now, profit model is understanding for different levels of sales, how much profit can you expect to create. And the idea is that, sometimes it's hard to exactly predict where your sales are going to be. We all like to think they're going to go through the moon. It's important also to do some conservative planning and understand what the iterations might look like as our sales grow. How might our cost change and how might our profit change? It can just help us to think about how we want to grow and what's in it for us to grow. And just helps us think about our business in a different way from a little bit of the left brain. But I find it helpful. I certainly do this in my business where I run a few different scenarios and just helps me see what's possible. And also what costs I might be needing to be thinking of or be aware of as we start to grow. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at last year's numbers. And we're not going to go into a lot of detail here, looking at some very high level numbers. So step one is last year. And all you're going to look at is sales. You're going to look at cost of goods sold. That's your direct costs for materials and labour for things that you sell. We're going to look at overhead. That's all your other fixed expenses. And then profit. So obviously this one minus this one minus this one equals that one. So once we've done that, we're then going to roll that forward and we're going to say scenario number 1, number 2, number 3, and maybe you do a number 4. Up to you. I've done 6 in my business this year. You don't need to do that. But essentially what you're going to do is firstly in scenario number 1, you're going to look at, okay, what if our sales don't change? What could we expect? So you're going to run this number straight across here. That'll be the same. The next step is to look at your cost of goods sold. And again, looking at your numbers last year, ask yourself the question, was the percentage, was the ratio of cost of goods sold to sales, was it good? Can we do better? What should we be aiming for? These are more sort of budgeting questions, but still questions you need to ask to get a picture of your profit model. And you're going to write a number in there. Then we're going to look at these two. The first question obviously is, were we happy with our profit last year? If you're okay with that and you think you did a pretty good job, then you just run these numbers both across and nothing changes. But you might want to sit back and say, okay, what if we wanted to improve or do better? And the idea here is to take a hard look at your overhead really and see where are some areas that we got a little fat, a little lazy, and where can we trim and just operate a little more leanly. And this is now a budgeting exercise, going into all the line items of your expenses and really taking a look at each of those. So we do that, we run a number across there and a number across there. Now in scenarios 2, 3 and 4, we start to get a little creative. And this is where we really start playing with the top line, asking ourselves the questions of what if. Hopefully you've got a goal of growing your sales in the next 12 months. And perhaps you've got a target you think is reasonable, one that is sort of a bit of a stretch and one that is just kind of the ideal. However you want, I'm not going to talk about planning in this video, but you go ahead and write those numbers in, whatever they are. 1, 2, and the big cadooli. So the number 4 might be a bit of dreaming, number 3 might be the one you really want to hit, and number 2 is kind of like, if things sort of fall somewhere in between. And we do the same exercise, just looking at what needs to change, and hopefully your cost of goods is going to stay the same, because that's really usually just a percentage. Okay, or I'll put percentage in there. When I say percentage, I mean percentage of sales. And then we're going to look at, okay, if our sales go to this level, how is our overhead going to need to change? Might we need more admin people? Do we need to increase our running hours so our utility costs are going to go higher? You just got to run through those sort of questions to understand how much higher this is going to be. And then finally, we can look at our profit number, which is, as we said before, sales minus cost of goods minus expenses gives us our profit. And so X, Y, and Z is our profit number. But doing that, if we look at our number 3, which is really the target, we're really going for our stretch target, and our marketing plan, our sales plan is all geared towards that. This is a very important one to focus in on, because we want to understand obviously the costs that are going to be associated with that. And doing this exercise allows us to be realistic about those costs so we can see what the payoff in profitability is going to be. It's a good exercise, helps you think a little bit differently, gives you more familiarity with your numbers. Go out there and have some fun with it. Jamie Cunningham with SalesUp TV.